Well, let's dive in. So, to kick things off, I know, Adam, you've been a big fan of bringing people together online during the pandemic for networking events. Where did that strategy come from?
Yeah, I think, the pandemic was really interesting and forced us all obviously out of our comfort zone a little bit, but developed some amazing new marketing strategies, which that's why we're here, right? And so, when the pandemic hit, I was working with what we called our strategic accounts team, so focused on the top end of the market, and they're really used to face to face, lots of in person, whether it's networking or just sales meetings and things like that. And they were really missing that element of spending time with customers and relationship building. And so that's where we started to explore virtual events and trying to replicate that in-person time that the sales team had with customers in like a meaningful and creative and fun way, right? And I think that's, we started to evolve as as 2 years in now. Crazy. Ugh.
Can't believe it.
But we started to evolve and bring in content elements and other engagement things. But at the end of the day, we wanted to provide fun activities and fun experiences for our customers and our sales team. Yes, exactly. Keep it going. We wanted to bring a level of engagement and fun back to stuff that the team was just really missing out on. And so that's kind of how we got started, and it's kind of snowballed from there over the past 2 years.
I love that. Just finding creative ways of keeping everyone connected across the country, even across the world. For you, you're global, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a really important point. I think we've all, even in our personal lives, have adapted to like, how do you maintain connections? And, in some cases, maybe even are closer to some people because of the availability of things like this, where you can just jump on a call. And, as we became more comfortable with this, like media, I think that, the possibilities are awesome.
Well, and you mentioned working with sales. You and the marketing team, you just seem to have that dialed in. This is a question that I get a lot. How do we, right, Kelly, how do we drive registration? How do we get that all important buy-in from the sales team? So any tips, since you seem to have it figured out?
I'm glad that we have that perception, because it's not always 100%, but it's I tell people, like, alignment is a work in progress all the time. You don't just achieve alignment and then it's, you're aligned. You always have to be working on it. So
can't just check it off your list.
Yeah. Exactly. And then move on to the next. The way that we get buy-in specifically for virtual events, but just in general, is really a level of accountability and like shared accountability with sales. So we will come to the table as we're discussing an event or a virtual event and say, and work with them on developing either the target account list or the target individuals list in some cases. And then really, especially with the virtual events over the past couple of years, and, times when we've worked together, it's really about allowing the sales rep to kind of be the gatekeeper to this unique experience, and then allowing them to personally invite our folks. So we do a lot of, template creating, and then sales will do the actual invitation process rather than it coming from marketing, because it just has a more personal, connection. And then that way the sales rep is really building that relationship out of the gate, one-to-one with their prospect or their customer.
So it's one-to-one outreach, not a one-to-many marketing blast.
Yeah, I mean, when we do these virtual events, we're usually targeting, more senior decision makers or more, folks higher within the organization. So we also have like just a better chance of delivering that message when it's coming from a familiar place versus marketing. But totally, it's that one-to-one relationship building that we're after.
100%. So once you secure the VPs, the SVPs, maybe the C-suite, how do you approach the event itself? What makes it fun, engaging, and ultimately memorable?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to, no matter what the event is, like, what's the unique thing that you're offering your customer that's kind of like unforgettable or something that they wouldn't typically have access to. So maybe it's a Wheeler Farms bottle of wine. Sips.
Tips. That's right.
Or maybe it's exclusive content or the ability to network with some of their peers that they wouldn't typically be able to get with just, any other marketing program. Maybe it's some really cool swag, like, like something that's memorable so that they're going to want to, because the ultimate goal is for them to kind of take that away and want to brag to their friends or their coworkers to say, hey, you'll never guess what I did the other night. I did this wine tasting and got, these amazing glasses of wine sent to my house and it was so cool. And they're like, oh, who did that? Well, the sales rep that I know. And then there
Thomson
you go.
Reuters. Exactly.
Yep, exactly. So like however you can make the experience unique for the customer, whatever way, whatever ways, whatever tactics you're using, just make it as unique as possible.
Love that. We talk a lot about that exclusivity factor, whether you're drinking wine from Wheeler, not your typical Tuesday bottle of wine, but also the access, right? You're getting access to a special vineyard, also maybe a special winemaker who you wouldn't just run into at the tasting room, even if you do visit Sonoma or Napa.
Exactly. And like, how do they then share that experience? Obviously making the impression on the individual is first and foremost, but if they share that internally, then you're really, then that's where the gold is.
The gold, the wine and marketing gold.
Exactly.
So what about hybrid in-person events? I know we're all itching to get back together, but what do you think? Is it too soon, too risky?
I think from a sanity perspective, it's never too soon. I would say last year, end of year, we started to do a little bit like our, box suites or like really one-to-one like networking dinners, things like that. And we're going to ease back into it. Like those are part of our strategy this year, how we can start getting people back together, but we have to be really careful. You never want to go too soon and too early. But also people are anxious and ready to get back in person. So I think we will go back in person at least part this year, but also like hybrid, I feel like, or virtual is here to stay. Like it's not going anywhere now that we've figured out like, hey, this is a great way to engage people where they're at. You can have a broader audience. It can be a VP level audience, but it doesn't have to be just VPs in San Francisco or Boston or Dallas. We can now hit Dallas and San Francisco all at the same time, which is
right. Again, it's multinational, international. It's just easy.
Exactly. So I frankly don't see that going away. Like it's such a great tool. It's like one of the champions of the pandemic next to the QR code.
I might take a sip on that.
Yes.
But yes, totally agree. It's this new channel that's really been unlocked through COVID, but it's so effective. Any kind of rough ROI stats that you're seeing with virtual? Not to put you on the spot.
We target 10x, like we really are shooting for the most impact, which is, we are looking for who are those, great opportunities that need a little extra attention or engagement, or how do we help accelerate? How do we help close? If there's a deal that you've had, a company that you've had trouble breaking into, like, are there interesting, engaging activities that we can do? Again, provide something unique, provide an experience that they're never going to forget, and really move the pipeline that way. Like that's where our event experiences are truly focused. We have some retention play, but we're really focused on pipeline acceleration, closing, things like that.
So it's really further down the funnel for these types of events.
Yeah. When we're talking, intimate virtual events, that's where we're focused on. We have other, digital tactics that we focus top of the funnel with.
Not everyone gets a bottle of Wheeler.
You have to be,
Unless they
to
want to
your
sign a
point,
contract.
exclusive. Yeah,
That's great.
exactly. If everybody wants to sign a contract, then we'll get the wine going.
I'm sure Wheeler could facilitate.
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Well, final question. Can you talk about a program or an event that you're especially proud of?
Yeah, we had, again, thinking of kind of the upper end of our market, we have a small customer segment that's truly focused on our handful of largest accounts and their customers, as well as like integration partners. And they had traditionally done an annual in-person meeting every year in Dallas, and kind of brought key stakeholders to Dallas and did a bit of wining and dining, but also, content and roadmap and all the stuff for virtual events. And it was a 2-day thing. And it was in April, like it was annually in April. And so when the pandemic hit, we were like already planning the in-person version of this, and had to like quickly pivot to how are we going to do a virtual version. But actually the delivery ended up being amazing. And like we were able to almost triple the attendance because we were able to make it accessible beyond kind of these handful of stakeholders. And we were able to bring in more stakeholders across different business units. And we were able to bring in our European counterparts. And we were also able to do fun wine tastings, maybe for individual customers. We did a really fun sushi class where we brought like a top chef in, and they taught all the folks how to make sushi, and they were showing their sushi with their kids in the kitchen. And, like it really created a whole new layer to the event and scale to the event that we didn't have before. And like the sales team loved it. The clients loved it. I mean, we are in the process of planning the one for this year, and we're really excited about the opportunities coming out of it.
That was a fast pivot too.
Yeah, there was there was a lot going on at that time.
Pivot might be the word of the pandemic for marketers.
It's true. We will all survive the pivoting.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Adam, thank you so much for sharing some tips on a Tuesday.
Of course.
I know you have a dentist appointment to get to.
I got to have a little wine before the dentist sometimes.
Oh, at least it's not red wine.
It's true.
Don't want your dentist mad at you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for having me. This was a pleasure. It's always great to talk to you.
Likewise. All right. We'll see you soon.
Yes.
Cheers.